Okay, so it's no surprise that America is headed for recession given its high inflation rates, stunted GDP growth and interest rate hikes. But what exactly does this mean for us as South Africans? Well, you can probably guess from the title of this video. Although I really do not want to come across as a big pessimist, some important things are happening right now that you need to be aware about so that you can properly prepare for the storm that is about to hit. What I'm about to share are some shocking statistics, but I do want to encourage you to watch through this whole video in order to fully understand the seriousness of this matter, because at the end I will give you some helpful, actionable steps that you can follow to try and weather the storm and come out on top. Time is money and money is scarce. So let me not waste yours and let's get right into it. FNB released a statement about 2 weeks ago saying that people who earned between 180,000 and 500,000 Rand per year, which could be classified as middle income users, spend about 80% of their monthly paycheck within the first 5 days of the month. This means that only 20% of their salaries will need to carry them for the remaining 25 days of the month. Now, although we do spend most of our money at the beginning of the month due to debit orders going off, 80% is a shocking number. As I explained in this video, you will need to start saving at least 20% of your income from the age of 30 if you want to afford a proper retirement. So this statistic only shows me that people have no money left over at the end of the month to either save and invest. So this forces people to borrow money to try and make up for the shortfall in their income. In fact, among those with secured and unsecured debt, a total of 65% of the income now goes just towards servicing their debt payments. And you would want to believe that this is at least to buy an asset like a house, but no. Of this 65%, only 35% goes towards secured debt and a staggering 30% goes towards unsecured debt. Unsecured debt, which is any debt that is not backed by an asset, so for example credit cards and personal loans, has increased by an unsustainably high 53% since 2016. This now brings the debt to income ratio of the average salaried middle income South African consumer to an alarming 150%. If you think these statistics are bad, the unfortunate reality is that the 20% of the salary that middle class South Africans are relying on to just get them through the month is likely to shrink even further in the year ahead. The FNB Consumer Confidence Index declined from -9 to -13 points in the first quarter of this year, mostly thanks to the alarming images of Russia's military invasion of Ukraine, unprecedented sanctions against Russia, and the pandemic that is still looming over all of our heads. This means that affluent consumers, which again are classified as the middle class, are less willing to spend their money, which together with an increasing inflation rate continues to erode the purchasing power of their money, thereby decreasing their ability to spend even further. To add to that, the South African Reserve Bank recently increased interest rates by 50 basis points, taking the repo rate to 4.75% and therefore the prime lending rate to 8.25%. To put this into perspective, if you had a 2 million Rand home loan at prime lending rate taken over 20 years with no deposit, your monthly installment just went up by 623 Rand. And your total interest payable over the whole term of the loan increased by a whopping 150,000 Rand, just like that. And this increase in the repo rate will not only affect home loans, but it will also result in a 0.5% increase on all other types of credit, including car loans, credit cards, personal loans, and overdraft, bashing the already stretched budgets of everyday consumers. And something that is not nearly talked enough about is that the increased debt servicing cost will erode the profit margins even further for farmers, who are literally the bread and butter of this country, and who is already facing huge input cost pressures due to the war escalation in the cost of fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides, and fuel. FNB Agribusiness said that the agricultural debt in South Africa has increased by an annual compound growth rate of 10.4% just in the past 5 years, which directly spills over to an increase in the price of all the food that we eat every single day. On that note, food prices are rising faster than the average inflation rate, with cooking oil seeing an annual increase of 37%, bologna 21%, eggs 15%, and beef, chicken and wors each 11%. And just to add more insult to injury, fuel prices rose by an eye-watering 33.2% in the 12 months leading up to March, with petrol prices climbing by 32.6% and diesel by 35.1%. Although the government did try to cushion the blow by granting a R1.50 reduction in the fuel levy in April and May, this was only a temporary reprieve that is unlikely to continue. In fact, we are likely to see a further increase of R2.17 per litre of petrol and R1.53 per litre of diesel next month, which will push the prices to close to R25 for both. And seeing that the situation in the Ukraine remains unresolved in the short to medium term, this will continue to add pressure to the international petroleum product price and in turn our local prices. And then of course there's Eskom, which never fails to disappoint. Load shedding outages were introduced more than 14 years ago and will continue for the foreseeable future, and we are likely to face the worst year of outages to date. Not only does this put a strain on the normal day-to-day operations of small businesses, but it is also getting increasingly more expensive. We saw a 17.9% increase in the electricity prices last year, and we are expecting to see an increase of 17.1% this year again. This causes many households to fall back on alternative power supply measures such as gas, solar and inverter systems just to keep the lights on, and this is not cheap. It is estimated that a household that usually uses around 1,200 kilowatts per hour per month will be looking at around 727,000 Rand, excluding VAT, to go completely off the grid. And if you want to throw in a generator, you'll have to fork out another 25,000 Rand. Eskom has many problems, and aside from the corruption and sheer incompetence, it has at least 5 power stations that are reaching the end of life cycles, which means there will be a less supply of energy and in turn, you guessed it, another increase in the price. Now, a logical solution to this would be to act like Germany and Australia, where the government actually incentivizes its citizens to move more towards renewables by offering rebates or by making the whole system tax deductible. But of course, this is not something that our government wants to do. Eskom wants to maintain a tight grip on our pockets by even charging fixed line costs to those who are taking their need for power into their own hands. The reality is, Eskom is in a death spiral where the demand from the wealthier people is diminishing as they move more towards going off grid. This causes Eskom to increase the electricity prices to try and make up for this lack of income it receives, which then puts the weight on the middle class, who now needs to pay for the majority of the electricity supply in this country. The middle class is then forced to follow in the footsteps of the wealthier households, which eventually causes the ever-increasing weight burden to fall on the shoulders of the poorest in South Africa. And then there's taxes. By the end of March 2022, there were only 6.8 million registered taxpayers in South Africa. Those who are classified as high income class, meaning they earn more than 1 million Rand per year, constitute only 4% of all taxpayers and less than 0.5% of the total population, yet they contribute almost 38% to the overall personal income tax generated by the country. Personal income tax makes up about 38% of the government's income, which is ranked number 6 in the world. But unlike first world countries who actually get something in return for their tax money, if you want decent medical healthcare, insurance and education, you need to use your after-tax money to pay for private services, because most of the government-run state-owned enterprises in South Africa are substandard at best. When looking at the highest individual tax burdens, South Africa ranks number 10 in the world. Only 18% of the country's population contribute to 38% of the government's income, which means that less than 1 in every 6 adults are literally keeping the wheels of the South African economy rolling. To add to this, over 4,500 high net worth individuals, which has a net worth of more than $1 million, have left South Africa over the past decade, with 1,900 millionaires leaving within the past year. This exodus of wealthy taxpayers are mostly due to the ever-increasing tax rates on the upper income groups, which again then gets passed over to the middle income group once they leave, thereby squeezing an already fragile group even drier. Now, considering all these shocking numbers reflecting the rapid increasing cost for everyday consumers, one would expect that your salary will also increase in line with these numbers, right? But that is not the case. Salaries in South Africa have generally not kept up with inflation. The latest debt index from the Debt Busters for the first quarter of 2022 indicates that in real terms, South Africans now have 17% less disposable income than 6 years ago. And this only accounts for those who are actually fortunate enough to earn a salary. The unemployment rate in South Africa is currently hovering around 35.3%, with the youth unemployment rate shooting to a staggering 65.5%. This means that close to 8 million South Africans are currently sitting without a job. On top of this, many high-skilled South Africans are leaving the country in hordes because, well, of everything that I just mentioned. This has a massive ripple effect on our economic growth and thus makes it less attractive for offshore investors to invest into our economy, therefore causing further stunted growth for our businesses, a decrease in job opportunities for the youth, and ultimately higher unemployment rates. Unemployment means hardship and hunger. And seeing that South Africa has been voted the most unequal country in the world, it is no surprise that this will lead to social unrest such as the riots we saw last year. There are children literally starving to death in the Eastern Cape. So the lack of our government's ability to create an economic environment that creates jobs and spreads prosperity has literal bloody ripple effects from the wealthy all the way down to the poor. And to quote the author of this excellent article from the Daily Maverick, clearly, just getting the basics right will help, such as keeping the lights on for starters. The correspondent typed this paragraph as his diesel generator rumbled in the nocturnal background. The students who bought in the house next door were forced to sit in the dark, disrupting their studies and widening the inequality of opportunity that exists between us. They aspire to the middle class, but the road there is riddled with the gaping potholes of a failing state. So it is clear that a material decline in disposable income, coupled with a higher debt burden, an unhealthy tax structure, runaway cost of everyday items, and a shocking unemployment rate are all contributing to the financial challenges that many South Africans are facing today. The ability to save is becoming a luxury that many South Africans simply cannot afford. Okay, so I don't want to leave you with a heavy heart and a bitter taste in the mouth after watching this video. Although South Africa is facing many problems, it is not all doom and gloom. This beautiful country really does still have a lot to offer. So this begs the question, what do we do? In my opinion, it all starts with your mindset. Negativity is contagious and can easily spread and cause decay in other people's attitudes and thereby their actions. Instead of blaming others for all of our problems, we need to take matters in our own hands and define our own destinies. We need to put the past behind us, stand together, rise above our circumstances, and lift each other up if we want to grow as a country. I strongly believe that many problems in this country can be solved just by proper education, and depending on the failing school system will simply not cut it. You need to take the time and discipline to educate yourself so that you can open up your own doors to opportunities. In terms of finances, I see two main problems. On the one side, you have people who simply do not have any money. But then on the other side, you have people who do earn money, but who simply have no idea how to manage it properly. I quit my high-paying full-time job to devote all of my time and efforts to focus on improving the second problem, and this is how this YouTube channel was born. I tried to teach you the things that school never did to enable you to properly manage your money in order to provide for yourself and your families, especially your dog. Now, although I am pouring my absolute heart and soul into each one of these videos to teach you guys how to budget, pay off debt, invest, and dodge all the BS traps that are out there in life, I am just an individual who is still limited in my ability to make a significant change. So I decided to give you guys some resources of channels and sites that I personally found very useful in my own journey to financial education that will hopefully help you to improve your financial literacy as well. I will be exploring a couple of ways to make money online as South Africans in the following couple of weeks that I will share with you guys to try and help those who really need an extra buck just to make it through the month. For South African personal finance education, check out the Money Met Aish, Chat with Tisa, Financial Buddy, and Talking Money with Nosy YouTube channels. And for international personal finance education, check out Graham Stephan, Mark Tilbury, Damon Talks Money, and Sasha Jansson. These are all channels that I personally follow and respect, so do yourself a favor, go and subscribe to them and watch their videos. If you have the means, go and buy the books Becoming Your Own Financial Advisor by Warren Ingram and Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Both these books will explain all the basics of finances and will just get you started on the right path. Join the Fat Wallet community group on Facebook where you can engage with like-minded people in South Africa who are all there to answer questions and to help each other out. You can also listen to the Fat Wallet podcast episodes on the Just One Lap website, and although they haven't added any new episodes since last year, there are still very helpful topics that you can go through. Perhaps if Simon Brown is interested, I can join him to get it up and running again, but I guess we'll have to see if this video ever reaches him. If so, Simon, reach out. And yeah guys, apart from this, engage in the comment sections. Share helpful videos with your friends and your families, and let's help each other by paying it forward. I'm sure there are many other channels and resources that I didn't mention, so if I left you out, I'm sorry, but if you guys know of any other helpful resources, then please drop them in the comments for others to see as well. Although you and I cannot solve every single problem that this country faces, we can control our mindsets and willingness to learn and improve ourselves, which will in turn inspire others to do the same. It is only through the collaborative efforts of entire generations that we will be able to change the trajectory of this country. So please, share this video with everyone that you believe needs to hear this, and let's start making a change together. Thanks for watching guys, have a blessed day, cheers.